record. And we're recording. Hey everybody, welcome to portfolio reviews for spring 2023. Do we want to do introductions again since we did them offline? I'm Professor Carol Ashley, Computer Animation Game Art. Andy?
Hi, I'm Professor Fedak, Computer Animation and Game Art.
Erik?
And Professor Erik Carpenter of Computer Animation and Game Art.
And I'm Kathy Baur, Professor of Entertainment Art and Animation.
All right, so we're going to start off with computer animation and game art portfolios. I'm also letting in a whole bunch more people that just are coming in here. Wow, we're like stacking up here. It's a big crowd. It's awesome to see. So Andy, I think we're going to share some past portfolios and talk about what it is we're looking for in the three different categories. So there's, and it's the same for both. It's the same three categories, but we're looking for different things. So we're looking for the life drawing examples. So 3 or 4 life drawing examples. And then we're looking for 3 to 4 observational drawing. And that one's always kind of confusing, like what is observational drawing? And then also 3 to 4 examples. And this is where it kind of leans more towards which concentration you're applying to. But it's more of speaking to the area that you're applying to. So if it's more animation, then you're going to have maybe storyboards and stuff like that in there, some animation examples, computer animation, game art. It could be anything from examples of models that you're working on in like 255A, or animation in the 3D animation class, or even coding. So we will look at code. Erik will be thrilled to look at code. So with that said, Andy, you want to kind of take it over?
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So just what Carol was saying, that the observational, figurative, life drawing, that's kind of like the core 3 groups that you're going to put together. Also, just make sure that I think sometimes students don't understand the class requirements that you have to have done. So so basically the Art 103, the 104, 107A, and 107B need to be done, completed, and have a grade for it of a 3.0 or better, with a minimal of a C in each course. So, and then also you need to have 117 done with a C or better. So it's, if you're in one of those courses, you need to have that done before you can apply. So you're gonna have to wait till next semester. We do it every semester. So just a heads up on that. You might need to wait, but just make sure you have that done. If you're not sure, you can check your TDA and see if it's there and listed. And then if you have a class that you took it out of community college and it's not in the right spot, you can set up a meeting with one of us to move it into the right spot. Okay, so just make sure you have that stuff out of the way. The other thing is that there is a unit cap that we have. This is something that we're aware of, that sometimes students come in, they go a little bit above it. Usually if you have a good reason for it, just talk to us about it and we can waive it. So just be aware of that. It's important that you apply as soon as that you have these classes kind of out of the way, so we can prepare the number of classes that we need to supply, you know, all the classes for you to take your classes and all that and get done in a reasonable amount of time. Okay, cool. So then with that said, let me open up a couple portfolios. So we're gonna talk about the CAGA one first. Carol, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, if you want to bring up some portfolios for that.
Okay, cool.
Portfolios that students that got in.
All right, so this is, 1 second. So this is Sammy's portfolio from a couple years back. You can see, so he has it broken down. So you have his life drawings. It's kind of clearly labeled. Sometimes students will make a more kind of like PowerPoint layout that makes it easier for them. But it's definitely important that we know kind of which section to kind of look at. So you can also see like Sammy's work is very like anatomically correct, along with he also has somewhat a good amount of shading and lighting in his work. Sometimes depending on the area that you're applying to, he might more be gesture based as you go through it. Let me open up his YouTube here. Let me just stop the share for a second. So now we can see some of his animation work. And I think this is, some of it's from the 255B class. And you can kind of see, oh, is my screen share paused? Hold on a second. Sorry, could you guys not see that?
What's that?
Could you see the video?
I can see the video. I don't know if
Yeah,
everybody's
same here.
sharing your screen.
Okay, my bad.
Are you sharing screen?
Yeah, there it goes.
Okay. And you probably want to make it like full screen so we can see it a little better.
Yeah, can you see it full screen now?
No.
No, or yes? How about that? There we go.
Yeah, we can see that now.
Okay, cool. All right, so you can see some of his work. And he has some music on here too, I think. It's pretty low. But the real important thing is that you're seeing like he's, you know, the principles of animation, squash and stretch, ease in, ease out, like all the kind of things that you're being taught in those classes. And his is pretty 3D oriented. Sometimes we'll see students that'll have more 2D based work as well. So let me share another. Okay, 1 second. All right, and you can kind of see on, this is Arturo's. His is more kind of really clear. So he's got a whole page observational drawing, and then you can kind of see some of his work. Again, in our stuff, we tend to see more kind of rendered work as well. And you can kind of see emotionally, there's kind of like a certain kind of tone in his work, which I think is really interesting. It's not necessarily required, like the fundamentals of perspective and all that is important, but I think at the next level of, you know, this idea of kind of emotion and feeling kind of comes through in his work. You can also see he's got it separated with the figurative and life drawing. Here he's got some gesture work, which is really great. And then more rendered stuff too. And you can see the anatomy is correct. So sometimes students, you know, it's kind of like at its base level, like it's not rocket science. Like you want to make sure that you understand kind of like perspective, right? Perspective works, you know, like the idea that, you know, things that should be straight are straight, things that should be kind of curved are curved, right? Sometimes students, it's just like, if you look at it, this obviously isn't working correctly. You want to make sure you turn in work that kind of logically makes sense. Same thing with anatomy. I think Kathy will talk about this a little later, but the idea that the body's form is correct when you look at it, there's not something that seems off with your particular drawings. So like here, you can see like this piece is a more emotional piece, and you can see anatomically, it's a little bit earlier in his learning, right? So he's still gotten into the program, but maybe it's like anatomically, it wouldn't be the best figure drawing example of his work, right? Here's another one that's a little bit funky and it's in the body, but I think emotionally it's really successful. It's like telling a story about his sister, right? So it's important to think about that when you're turning your work in, is that, you know, if you're turning something that's going to be figurative, you want that to be clear that we understand the anatomy. And then down at the bottom, so this is more of a traditional kind of 3D examples. And we don't expect all students to have 3D work. Some of you maybe haven't had the chance to take a class in 3D yet. So it's not like we expect you to have 3D animation or 3D models. But if you do, they're great. And here we can see on the top here, a rendered version. And then at the bottom, we can see the topology. So the topology basically is all the polygons that go into the model. And so we can see how you made it, which is important for us. He has another render here of a hard surface model. So we can see some of the work he's done. And then at the bottom, he's done some exterior work. So what's nice about this one too, is that we have a lot of a nice lighting setup. And then we can also see the actual polygons that he used for his particular render. Same thing here, it's an interior design, right? So we can see the interior and then the actual render. And then he's got some concepts that he's done, and then a final, a third render of an environment that he did, right? So all this stuff is really useful. It's important though to just be aware that when you're picking out the stuff that you're picking out, you know, we still want you to apply even if you don't have 3D work. We're just kind of showing you examples of students that that have it, that we can kind of put. Okay, so should I keep on going? Should I do one more, Carol, or we can switch to EAA?
Yeah, let's do one more, and then let's talk about the artist statement too for our area.
Sure, okay.
That.
Yeah, let me just pick out, let's see. All right, so this is, okay, here's another one. So this is, second here. Eddie's, so Eddie and Naya. So again, you can see Eddie kind of made it very clear. So I think he used PowerPoint to set this up, right? So then this one's a little looser. So you can see he's actually listing the time it took for him to do his drawings of his environments here. And you can see it's also kind of showing perspective and all that kind of stuff that's going on. These two still lifes, right? And then as we go down, you can see the figurative work. So this is pencil drawing here. And a little bit looser here. And then this one is really successful kind of personality kind of coming through. And then in his creative expression, so this is a good example of, so he doesn't, at this point in his career, he hadn't taken any 3D classes yet. So he did some really interesting stuff drawing wise that he turned in, which I thought was really interesting. And then kind of see some close-ups of it. Some oil painting work, self-portrait. And then he did have some, looks like a couple 3D pieces from a film he made, right? And so sometimes it's nice just to have different still shots that the student might had made, even if it was an early kind of learning experience with 3D. And it can be Blender, it can be Maya. It's really, we're just interested to see that you've engaged with some of these tools and kind of started to explore it, right? So I guess, you know, the big thing here is being very clear about your portfolios, what section is what, showing your best work. It's better to pick out 3 to 4 good pieces and not send in a whole bunch of stuff that you're not really confident in. And then if you don't have 3D stuff yet, that's okay. You can always turn in your other work that maybe isn't 3D, but you're proud of, that we can see. It could be photo, it could be sculpture, other drawings, stuff like that. Okay, so did I miss anything there, Carol or Eric?
I don't think so. I mean, we are getting a lot of questions about what's the differences between them. So I think we can kind of speak to that a little bit.
Sure.
And I'd say the big difference between the two areas, the game art one, which is going to be called GAME in the fall. So game art, animation, and immersive media. So computer animation, game art is changing to that name. And then entertainment art and animation. So with the game art side, I think we're looking more at, for the life drawing stuff, we like to see things that are like really kind of rendered, showing light and shadow. So a lot of what you do in 117 is applicable. With entertainment art and animation, I think they're looking more for some of those big gesture drawings. So, you know, you want to think in terms of animation all the time with that concentration. So big gesture drawings, expressive stuff. It doesn't have to have all the details and rendering and stuff, but the anatomy and, even if you're like exaggerating the anatomy, it still needs to make sense. You know, it can't be kind of weird and off like that. With the observational drawing, we're fine with seeing some of the paintings and stuff that you're doing in your painting classes, like and drawing like 107 A and B. I think with entertainment, art, and animation, they're probably looking more at like how it's a more impacted area, so it is more competitive to get into that concentration right now. So they're looking at everything's animation based. So instead of just the observational stuff that you've done in those classes, how are you applying that to animation? Like, what does the background look like for animation? It could just be a line drawing showing that you understand some perspective. I'll let Kathy talk more to this too. And then for our area, in terms of like that last category, which I can't remember how we have it labeled, like technical art and stuff. Andy, what's our last category?
Creative expression.
Creative expression and technical art. So for us, that could include coding. So it could be anything from your 3D animation or 3D animation, 3D modeling, stuff that you're playing around with in Blender, Unreal Engine, Unity. If you're working in game engines and experimenting, we're interested in seeing that. If you are minoring or have done some coding stuff, you know, doing a minor or double major in computer science, we're happy to look at code and how you're applying that. And also, if you're involved in any of the clubs, like Video Game Developers Club, if you're working on games in there and participating, definitely talk about that when you put your, like in your statement, your artist statement, talk about what you're doing in terms of how it relates to the concentration and how our classes are going to help develop you in the area that you want to go to in a career. Does that make sense? Hopefully. Andy, do you want to add anything, or Eric, do you want to input?
I think, yeah, I think the big thing for me is that, you know, put your best work forward, make it clear with what your, each section is. And then also don't be afraid if you don't have 3D work to apply. That's kind of, some students haven't had a chance to take 3D, you know, so I think those are the big ones for me. Eric, do you have any?
I was going to say the same thing. Don't just put stuff in to have it in there, and make sure it's your best work that fits into each category. And then the creative one, you know, it's be creative with it, as vague as that sounds. I'm sure after Kathy goes over her part, it may make a little bit more sense. And then if not, we'll circle back around to it.
Yeah.
Cool. And then we were going to talk about, before we move on to EAA, the artist statement, Carol.
Yeah, I kind of touched on it. So that there is an artist statement for our area. It's an opportunity for students that don't have really strong drawing skill to talk about what they want to do. So some of them want to be technical artists. They want to do rigging. They want to do coding. They want to work in game engines, do game development. So it's an opportunity for you to express that in writing instead of having to show a certain level or be fearful that you don't have a certain level of drawing skills. That's sort of what it was for, and just an opportunity to introduce yourself and say what you're looking for in this concentration, what you hope to do. Yeah. We have tons of questions coming in.
I'm just trying my best to answer some.
Storyboarding. Yeah, I mean, I think that kind of sums it up. We'll do Q&A like kind of after Kathy, and I think Andy, I think, is going to talk too. But Kathy, are you kind of ready to roll with EAA?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, a lot of the same ideas. Put in only your strongest work. And I can screen share regarding the figurative, I think, or
You want to? Okay.
maybe you can show Luisa's work, or either way, either I could screen share or
Why don't you take it away, Kathy? That sounds great.
Okay, I'll do a screen share here. so that you guys can see the kind of figure drawing. Okay, I think I might need to be a co-host or something to do the screen share. Let's see.
Carol,
So
did you make her a co-host? Let me see if I can do it. Okay, you should be good now.
all right, yes. Okay. So can everybody see? You guys can see? So these are the kind of examples of drawings that we would look for in animation figurative studies. What we're seeing is we're seeing structure and gesture and structure. We're seeing these are done quickly. You can see these are kind of quickly done, but they're showing form, dimension and form, because in animation, you're turning the figure. Some of the questions were about classes. Really, what we're looking for is that you're into this, because this, I talk about creating portfolios or doing artwork for a class or an assignment, not just as you're not just doing it for that assignment. It's like if you're learning piano, you might go to class and you learn the piano and then you practice. The practice is where you're really going to start developing and showing your skills. So what we're wanting to see is not just what you did in your class, but that you're really studying and understanding dimension and form and the major masses of the body here. So these are very good examples of just like getting the gesture, but also the structure underneath here, like this pelvis area. We see dimension, because in animation, you're turning the form in space. A lot of the perspective work that was mentioned for the game art portfolio, perspective is also important in animation. Sometimes I'll see in still lifes or observational work, I'll see still lifes and they're looking pretty good, but I'll notice something like a platform. There's like maybe a bottle on a platform, and I'll see the top of the platform, or maybe there's a bowl and I'll see the top of the platform, but not the top of the bowl. So the perspective is contradicting itself. So in your observational work, make sure you're accurate, be as accurate as possible when you're doing perspective pieces, even with still lifes. That's something I've seen a bit, is like the perspective of an object in a still life is not the same perspective as another object in the still life. So we're really looking for accuracy when you're doing your observational drawings and with perspective. But for figure, definitely looking at dimension and form. Creative work, I don't exactly have an example here, but the visual development type work is good. Illustrative work is good. It's the creative expression, that's your own personal ideas. It doesn't necessarily have to be like character models and turnarounds, doesn't necessarily have to be that. Sometimes creative work could be a painting that is showing a relationship between characters or between people within the painting, things like that. So that's your opportunity to present your personal ideas in the creative section. So I hope that's answering some of the questions that were in the chat. But yeah, I'm glad to answer anything else, and I'll stop sharing. I'll just show a couple more pages of this so you can see, like here, we're seeing the dimension, the form, the understanding of where the weight is. And let's see. Yeah, this is showing you there's movement and form, and where the weight here, the weight is divided between the two legs. Here we're seeing the weight is, she's leaning into the weight on the table here. So I'm going to stop share. And just in the camera of my machine here, I'm going to mention this is a book, Glenn Villepeu. I've mentioned this many times. But the kind of drawing that we're looking for is we want to see structure. This is structure. Life drawing could have like animal, you could have animals in your life drawing section even. But you see, define form underneath. Let's see, I think I have more. Here's another good example. And the Vilpu book is very good. It shows, he's got even like the basics. This is accuracy stuff. We're looking at accuracy, like how many heads high is the figure? Where are landmark points? Measurements. You're measuring the figure when you're drawing. And at the same time, you're balancing between accuracy and creativity, like gesture and structure, and checking your measurements, making sure the legs aren't too long or the arms aren't too long. So yeah, this kind of thing is really helpful. I think that might be enough. I don't know if there's going to be more questions, but accuracy is one of the big things. Anatomy, it's great if you can get some anatomy in there, but what's more important is what I don't want to see, or what a lot of times in animation, what we're looking for is not detailed anatomy if the structure accuracy is not right. So what I'd rather see is accurate proportion, accurate balance, accurate weight. I'd rather see that than detailed anatomy if the proportions are wrong, if you know what I mean. I think accuracy is more important. And there's another book I want to mention, George Bridgman. I'll type it in the chat. George Bridgman is very good for this kind of drawing. Glenn Vilpu, George Bridgman, there's some other ones, but I'm just going to type George Bridgman in the chat. And I think that my mouse doesn't want to go over there. Did it come over here? Yeah, okay. I think this is how I spell it. And I bought, one of the ways I really learned about like balance and rhythm and weight distribution was by going through George Bridgman's book. His first book, Life Drawing, I went through every page and just drew. I went page by page and just drew from his book. And it really helped me to kind of absorb in my head, okay, this is the rhythm, this is the balance, these are the proportions. So I'll encourage you guys all to do that. Okay, I'm seeing some questions. Internet reference for drawing models. Those are good. Yeah, doing. I don't think you need an artist statement for entertainment art. Okay.
Looks like there's one, animation and game art are separate concentrations. Can I apply to both at the same time? And do I have 2 tries for each? Yeah, so the way it works is you can apply to multiple concentrations. You're going to be here a while if you do. Usually most concentrations are going to have 4 electives. So what people do is they'll take kind of the requirements in the other concentration and have them be your electives in the one. So you kind of get 4 there, but you end up having a couple more on top of it. So it's really up to you if you wanted to do that. There's a couple students that have done that, but generally I think it's better to kind of pick one which is more your emphasis, like EAA probably has more kind of 2D focus and then also some character animation focus, while computer animation and game art or game will have more of a 3D focus, and then take classes in the other area that you're interested in, so it's probably a better fit that way. But we've had students do a double in the past, and it's usually they're around for a long time, but it's a good degree. So
yeah, it adds about a year on to your BFA if you do a double concentration.
Kathy?
Yeah, so there was a question about construction lines. I'm going to share again my screen. Do we want to see construction lines? I'll tell you what we would rather not see is I don't want to see contour lines. So a lot of times there'll be outlines This I'm not necessarily seeing full construction lines, like the pages I held up where I showed like the mountain lion with like a cube in the pelvis area, like it's a very defined cube. In these examples here, you're not seeing total defined lines, but I'm seeing an understanding of the structure with the lines that are there. So these lines are showing structure underneath, like the rib cage. Even though it's not fully defined, I'm still seeing there's a rib cage there. I'm seeing the squash in the back and the stretch in the belly. Like this character is really squashing and stretching here, and the rib cage is leaning back, the pelvis is leaning forward. I'm seeing the forms underneath, although they're not drawn really specific in these. I've seen portfolios where I see a lot of edges, like the contours, and it's not defining form. So I don't really have an example of just like the contour drawings, but I think these examples here really show, we are seeing form. I'm not seeing a whole cylinder here in these legs, but I am seeing the direction of the form. This thigh is going back, this thigh is coming forward. So we're looking more in dimension rather than flat. So I'm not seeing outlines. A lot of times I'll see in portfolios, students will do an outline, like they're outlining the figure. That's not what we're looking for, because that's a bit on the flat side. We want to see dimension. The lines here are defining form. So I am seeing that there's structure underneath. The lines are very they're very selective to just show, okay, this is the leg going back. This is the leg coming forward. This is going back. And here we see like the top of the cylinder, but I don't see a whole cylinder. You don't have to draw the whole, underline cylinder or cubes or things like that. But the drawings, the lines that you do use should indicate that you have understanding of that. Or you're welcome to draw the whole forms too. But avoid contours and edges, like drawing the edge of an arm or just the edges. Rather see the dimension. Does that help answer? I hope that helps to answer that question about construction lines.
Kathy, one of the questions in the chat was asking about fictitious characters, if you're okay with that. And then there was a follow-up about it can't be something like The Simpsons. You want to touch on that?
Yeah, the creative work in your creative expression, the first sections are more like observational and figure drawing, nothing like Simpsons or no characters really. In the creative expression, it should be your own creative expression, not you're not duplicating someone else's work. One of the things we're focusing a lot in the EAA major is your personal expressions. You're not cookie cutters. You guys are artists. This is an opportunity as students for you to be creative and create your own ideas. In the animation industry, yes, you do have to be able to adapt and draw The Simpsons if you're working on The Simpsons or whatever show you're working on. Yes, you do need to know how to draw those characters for those shows. But as a student, this is time for you. This is your creative expression should not be a character that's someone else's. It should be if you're doing characters, your own personal ideas, your own imaginative creative works. I think that would be best for that.
Yeah, this is more for life drawing, gesture drawing. I think.
No, life drawing, gesture, no Simpsons. No, it should be like figures. You're doing life drawing from figures. Sometimes there's costumed figures. In this example that I showed you, there was some drapery, but we saw a lot of just the figure, nude figure. You could put in some animals in there. Sometimes if you're focusing on things like hands or feet or head drawing, you could throw some of those in there too, but we do want to see the whole figure. And just like life drawing, but not from different characters. It should be life drawing.
Okay, so for clarification, in the chat's asking, any sort of fictitious characters would go in creative
Expression,
or
yeah.
creative expression, and then anything else, or like for life drawing and gesture, need to be from real life.
Yeah, that's like life figure drawing. And then observational is observational, so no fictitious characters. Fictitious characters would be in creative expression, but they should be your own creative fictitious characters. If you're doing characters. Some of you guys might be doing more like painting or background or illustrations, like storytelling. Storytelling in images in your creative work would be nice. Sometimes figure drawing kind of tells a story a little bit, but we're really looking more for the accuracy and understanding of form and gesture, depending on the pose. Sometimes a character really tells a story with, or a figure can really tell a story with a pose. You know, there can be a lot of emotion. And in the pose of a figure drawing, we can get story, but we're really focusing more on just the understanding of the form in that area. And anything more story related would be more in the creative expression.
Gabby, I would say if you want to do fan art, have that be more so of creating your own character that would go in a world.
Mm-hmm.
Another question that came through is, do animals count as observational drawings? I would say yes. Anyone here disagree? No, good. Can storyboarding, or what category would storyboards fall under?
That would be under creative expression. And I think animals could go, you could do observational and it could possibly go in life drawing too. We want to see human figure, but sometimes you can put, like, if you're doing an action animal, you're at the zoo and you're capturing a chimpanzee or a giraffe or something. Sometimes those can go in life drawing if you're doing like gestural animals. If the animal is more like a still life or a still animal, that would, for EAA, I think that would be more observational. Yeah, but storyboards, things like that, that's more in creative expression. If you have some animated clips, some students have been on, sometimes a student has really good animation, even if their life drawing and their other aspects of the portfolio aren't as strong. If you have some good animation, you can put that, like YouTube links. I've seen some very good animation that really raises the level of someone's portfolio if you're not as solid in other things, but you've got really great creative animated ideas, or you're really good with animation. Putting those links would be very helpful.
We have another question. A student is transferring in the fall. They'd be transferring as a junior. Are they eligible to submit a portfolio?
I think they have to be here a semester before they can submit. Do you know, Andy or Carol, I think that's the case. They have to be here.
Yeah, they'll transfer in as a BA. Am I on here? Yeah, they transfer in as a BA, and then if they have the courses completed, so if you're transferring in the fall, 23, if you have all the classes completed, you could apply that semester. But you can't plan a semester like this semester for next semester. You have to be enrolled or you have to be accepted in here. Yeah. And there was a question I thought about the 24-hour animation challenge, the storyboards from that. Would that be acceptable, Kathy?
You know, I haven't seen, is this a Fullerton student did the 24-hour challenge?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, you know, if they're strong, sure. If you have strong work and it's showing creativity, you can put it in. I wouldn't put only storyboards. You know, you could do storyboards, but also expression sheets. if you guys know what I mean by expression sheets, you can do a Google search, like model expression sheets. Maybe I could Google search and see if I can screen share some. But that, if you could put in storyboards, but also show like character acting and expression sheets. Let me see if I can Google search and find.
And what about like character turnarounds? Do you like seeing that too with the construction?
Let's see, character turnarounds, that could be good. Yep. I'm going to type in expression sheet and I'll share again shortly, but let's see, these are not. I'm just doing some searching. Character, I'll do like Bugs Bunny. I'm just going to type in like Bugs Bunny.
Yeah, so if you're looking for the portfolio guidelines, they were emailed out by the department chair. So it should say like art department, and then you can also find them in your student portal under scholarships. Sounds like a weird location, but they're under scholarships. If you click in there, you'll find the guideline, and then that's where you're also going to submit your work.
Okay.
And I believe Andy also placed them in the chat as well.
Okay, cool.
So you're not going to want to do Bugs Bunny because Bugs Bunny was done by someone else. But this is an example of like if you have your own character, you do your own character, you can show the attitude of your character, like body language. These would be fun for creative expression. If you have your own character and you're showing your character in different poses or different actions, the turnarounds could help to show like accuracy in drawing, like a turnaround. And a lot of times when I talk about portfolios and portfolio reviews, I think of them also as an educational opportunity. It's not just for like you're doing a portfolio for a program, but this is in general. You're going to be working as artists. If you're an artist in this field, these are the kind of things you should be doing, like for a portfolio in general, not just for the program, but creating, like if you're into characters, doing characters in different poses like that. And yeah, you can do turnarounds too. Here's Daffy, different expressions. These are fun. But for the portfolio, for your class, for the EAA program, if you're doing expression sheets and turnarounds, do your own characters. We want to see your imagination. Let's, think creatively.
Then we have a question for where would internship drawings go? Because they did background and prop work.
That's a good question. So it's actual work from like a production that an already like a professional production.
I'm guessing that's from Genesis Acosta. I just lost it in the chat. Is that for 3D or 2D work as well? Several people also do need to leave. Where will the recording go? Carol or Andy?
Yeah, in the past we've added it to the requirement page, the PDF. And so my guess is James will probably just do that. It'll update that PDF with to actually have the video link on there too. So and it should be up pretty fast.
Yeah, and we'll share it out on the like PMC and WIA and CGraph and everything, the link.
And then Genesis' question to the internship was a small nonprofit video and 2D animation.
Okay, and was it your own creative work, like your own ideas? Like, I think if it's your own ideas, you could put it like in the creative expression and maybe just put a little note that you did it for a project. But if it's your own creative work.
Yeah, that sometimes can get tricky because if you have like an art director, someone kind of telling you what to do, it's not exactly your own. We prefer to have it be your own work.
And then perspective environments be okay in creative expression. If the actual environment wasn't real, just made up, I would say I would rather it be a made up environment. That's just me though.
Yeah.
Yep.
Made up is creative.
Yeah, creative. Yeah, definitely. We see that a lot.
Yeah, and if you're doing any like group projects, like with some of the clubs, we'll do like a group project, and you submit something, just make sure that it's really clear that you tell us what you did on it, like a breakdown, like I did the animation for the scene, or I was the concept artist or something like that, just so we know if it looks like a group project.
And I see another question about if you animate an action scene from a live action movie, does it count as fan art? Should you include it in your portfolio? You all want to take that one?
I kind of
Carol.
already.
Yeah, Carol answered it.
Yeah, I sort of answered it. I said, it's okay to use live action as reference footage, but to make it your own. And if you're kind of looking for that, like maybe go out to the 11-second club. It's 11second.com. They've got audio clips from movies that you can use for your animation and then do your own take on it. And they've got all the challenges and animation examples from the past, so you can see how other people have approached like a classic, dialogue from a movie. They've turned it into something completely different. So I wouldn't say like animate something verbatim from a live action or even an animated movie. Don't copy. You guys okay with all that?
Yeah,
Yeah, makes sense.
I would agree. I don't want to one
Because
for one.
it becomes like rotoscoping. So it's like, there's like a certain style of animation that's really kind of, it looks like it's from an image. And I think we're kind of more want to see your own take.
And then I saw one earlier, but I can't find it right now. A question about how many people apply and how many people get accepted.
Carol, do you want to do that one, or you want me to?
I didn't hear it. What was it?
How
many people apply to each concentration and get accepted for each one?
I think it varies. So I don't know the total numbers or the percentages, but the dean's office is that's where the numbers are set in terms of like how many we can accept. And right
Yeah.
now we're in a no growth period because we're in the mods and stuff. It's whoever is graduating, you're filling a seat right now. So we're not expanding and taking more students. So it just depends on how many students are graduating this semester. Is going to determine how many seats we have open in both areas. That's illustration 2. So do you have an idea, Andy, what the percentage might be? Is it like a 60% acceptance rate right now, right around there?
Yeah, it's pretty competitive. I think it's probably more like 50%, but it might be more intense than that,
Yeah.
because of the mods. It's really, we try and fit as many students. I think Fullerton we're trying to fit as many students as we can, but also make sure we can run the classes for y'all too. So it's definitely competitive, and you should take it very seriously, the application process. But at the same time, it's I think it's definitely something that you should definitely take very seriously. But it's not like crazy numbers like a USC or CalArts and all that. But it's getting competitive for sure.
Yeah, I see some questions for character sheets. Would it be better for them to be line art or fully colored? Let me share. As long as they're good. Like these are good. These are not, they're not colored, but they're good. They're showing skills. So what I'd rather see something that's showing good, solid understanding of like expression and animation and understanding of drawing than something that's colored that's not showing that. So I hope that answers that question. And then I think someone had requested to see the rest of this portfolio. So I will go through and show more of this portfolio. So this was, I think this was observational. Okay. So here we have observational. These are observational here. So everything's where it belongs, the perspective is right. And the lighting's right. More observational. And then creative expression. This was someone's, this person's own prop, like a creative design, like the shark cycle. So this is a personal design. And yeah, these are nice characters that this student designed. These are the students' own ideas.
They eventually actually made that character in 3D in one of my classes too.
Nice.
Really well.
Nice. Yeah, just fun ideas, creative expression. Yeah, so more like fantasy characters, but personal. They're the artist's own personal ideas. So I hope that answers some of the questions.
So there's a couple that came in. So just the idea of using for observation and entertainment art, would a painting with shapes, colors work? What's your thoughts like? Because I know we've had work that shows perspective well, that's not a drawing, but a painting, because they've probably painted over the drawing. Is that okay, Kathy, with you?
I think that would be fine. I think that would be fine. As long as it's showing the understanding of perspective, I think that would be fine. And then I see a question about where to get good samples, like Croquis Cafe. I don't know where Croquis Cafe is, but yeah, going to cafes, going out, sitting on campus and watching students walk by and just sketch. Or, you know, some people sketch at the bus stop or on the bus. That's a good way to keep doing like figure, well, it's not figure drawing because we're dealing with just sketches of people and the environments, but those are always, it's a good way to practice. And also you could get some creative expression from that. Sometimes when you're doing sketching on the bus, you might see someone that really looks like a character and becomes a character. It's just really good practice to keep doing that. Or going to the zoo. Zoos are a good place to just get portfolio material.
Yeah, I would follow up the same thing with 3D. One of the things I always tell all the students is model what's around you. So everyone that's sitting at this right now, look at your desk and look at how much stuff's around you. You can model every one of those as practice. And then, you know, eventually try to make it photoreal or whatnot. Another question is, if you have an animation, do you put a link in the PDF? I believe the answer to that is yes.
Yeah, I think so. I think we've done it that way. I'm not sure. Do you remember, Andy? I think last year there were links in the PDF.
Oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that. So what was the question? It was
Like if
Yeah,
so,
so any animations, they would just put the link in the PDF.
Yeah, definitely. Don't put your movie files in your PDF or in your Illustrator, whatever you use. You want to, yeah, it'll make it 1,000 megabytes. So what you want to do is make a link to a Vimeo or YouTube. And then what sometimes students do is they'll have pictures of their animation, so we know what we're going to get when we click on the link.
Do like a screenshot or a title shot or something.
Exactly, yeah, and that helps us to kind of know what we're going to see and make sure we're seeing the right stuff. And then you know, and sometimes students will break it down into multiple pieces, or they'll make a little reel like what Sammy did to show us what they had, right? And then sometimes it's 2D and sometimes it's 3D.
traditional work is fine. There was a question about if it's done on paper, scan it in. Sure, that's all good.
And someone else wants to know, actually a couple different people, what constitutes observational drawing objects, and do they need to be photorealistic?
You know, I think, oh, go ahead, Carol.
I think it depends on which concentration. I think with us, we would probably like to see if you can handle photoreal stuff and lighting and detail. I'm guessing with Kathy, she probably wants to see something in something more stylized for animation. Am I right?
Know, I think in the observational, like perspective is important. That was one of the things that we've been looking for in the observational. a lot of things that people put in portfolios are things like a still life. And we want to see accuracy. So photoreal work is good for that. We're seeing accuracy. Some people have gone and drawn a building as an observational. They've gone and sat outside of a restaurant and drew the restaurant and the trees around the restaurant. So we're looking for accuracy again, like scale. Are the tree, is the perspective right? Creative expression, you could really tweak things and get more, wacky or be more creative, but we do want to see, I think photoreal is good in those, just so we can see more accuracy of like the perspective and scale and lighting. You can do lighting too in there. So yeah, I have more books. I should could.
Another question that was, can one animation reel count as multiple work and entries if there's 3+ clips, and for 3D work if that matters?
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's like, 3 different clips of animation, we could count that as 3.
Could creative work include some collages that are painted over, it looks like? Oh, they draw but rip magazines out and color them. I
think
assume that's more for Kathy.
We're into like painting, like when we start seeing things that look like other concentrations, like fine art, painting, or illustration, we start questioning, is this the right concentration for you? So that I would, for both of these concentrations, I would try to like hone all the work in for like, game art or, animation, and kind of stay away from more like expressive or abstract works. One thing we do like to see though is like if you're building things in actual 3D or sculpting in clay, we welcome seeing like photographs of that.
Another question was, what's the difference between EAA and Kaga that's becoming game?
Do you want me to do it again? Should I say it?
You can do it again.
So EAA is more character animation and also 2D based. So pre-production, storyboarding, concept art for animation, and then gets into actually making films. And then computer animation and game art are coming up, game art, animation, immersive media. It's going to be more 3D based on like making models, rendering, lighting, and then also some animation, but 3D based. And then and kind of more techy, right? So we tend to see groups of students in those spaces. And then what's nice is both areas we collaborate quite a bit. And so you're open, if you get into the major, to take classes in the other areas. So you can take a couple computer animation classes in EAA, or if you're in EAA or you're in Kaga, you can take EAA classes, right? So what that means is that it's good to pick one that you kind of feel like have a better fit, So a lot of students are like 2D based, they really feel comfortable drawing, and they might be a little interested in some animation. And then some students are very 3D based and they're interested in exploring some 2D stuff, right? So it depends on your emphasis. Hopefully that was clear.
Yeah, I can add to that and just like in EAA, you're going to be doing a lot of drawing. You're going to be drawing lots of characters. You're going to be storyboarding, concepting story ideas, animating, and making a short film. In our concentration, you're going to be working in 3D kind of early on. And then as you get into the 300 level and 400 level classes, we're finishing almost everything in Unreal Engine. So which is the game engine. And depending on which one of us you get for like our group projects class, we have a team production class. You might be making a game. If you're with Erik, with me, you might be doing virtual production for animation. And with Andy, you're going to be doing virtual reality. So those are more of the things we're doing, more like VR, game development, virtual production type of work. So those are other really big differences, I think.
And then Karen, could you clarify what you mean by a puppet as creative expression for animation? Are you talking like a hand puppet or a puppet that you created and animated, like a Pinocchio or stop motion type thing? A hang puppet.
Hanged puppet.
A hang puppet, like a
Oh, a hang puppet. Oh, okay.
Would that count for, or hand? Okay,
Hand.
I thought it was a hang puppet.
So it's like an animated puppet. I guess that would be, that'd be interesting. I think if you're applying for EAA, I guess Kathy, what's your thoughts?
If it's good animation. So good animation can be done through many different techniques, but showing good timing, depending on the puppet, like the design of the puppet, if we can see emotion and body language. Yeah, animation, I see questions too about animation and illustration being different. They're very different, really. Animation, we're dealing with moving images, and we're making films in the animation program here. And there's a lot that goes into this time art. It's a time art. So the acting, the timing, the movement, the pose, visual language that we're using through time. I saw a few other questions too. Cheyenne and Russell said, are the fundamentals more important than detail? I would say accuracy is more important than detail. So let's see. So do observational drawings rendered, or can they just be line art showing scale, proportion, perspective? If they're really good, that's, if you're showing all of that and they're not rendered, that should be okay. I have another book here. I bring these books to show people. This is another one, layout and composition, Ed Gertner. This has like perspective type work in it. And these are things you could probably put in like creative expression. If you're doing like environments, this can also show perspective. So let's see. These are things where I think I had some examples of some nice drawings. I mean, this kind of thing, this is all line art right here. Whoops. I don't know if you guys can see. Can you guys see all that? Like it's line art, but it's really well done. These are good pieces. So yeah. Oh, this is lovely. This might be, there's all kinds of beautiful images in this book too. So let's I'm hitting the admit buttons here. Some of these might be if these are from your imagination, those kind of things can go in creative expression. So these are creative expression. You could do creative expression pieces that show perspective, environments. Someone asked about like taking pieces from multiple environments and then piecing them together to make one environment, like something creative for EA. I don't know if that was for EAA or game art, but yeah, for EAA, I think if you're looking at different environments and thinking, oh, that would be cool if I combine this with that, and it's really creative, that's great. But again, we're looking a lot for accuracy. It's very hard work. Animation and drawing in the field of animation outside of CSUF, and even within CSUF, it's really hard work. So just know as you're applying, it's a lot of hard work, but that's if you love it, you love it. And so your portfolios, I'm just going to keep encouraging you to keep aiming really high. Here's another one from Ed Gertner's book. I mean, these are beautiful, beautiful pieces of creative work. I think these are mostly creative. I think these are from imagination, but they're also showing understanding of perspective too. So this kind of thing would go in creative works.
Kathy, can you show the cover of that book? Several people are asking about what the book is.
Layout and Composition by Ed Gertner. There's some really great making of books too that have good concept art. Like I think some of you guys have probably seen them. I think there's one called Paper Dreams. I'm not sure. Let me do a quick Google search. I think there's something called Paper Dreams by John Canemaker that has a lot of like really beautiful concept art for animation. Let me see. I'm doing a quick Paper Dreams. The art, and it's Disney, like the art of storyboards, but I think it has a lot of concept art in it too. I'll have to see. Do I have it here? Let me see if I might have it. Hold on. Yes, I do. Okay. There's a lot of good resources, you guys. I haven't been able to go through them all, but yeah, this is from like Disney stuff. This is old, like Pinocchio things. I think this is like Pinocchio stuff. This is in John Canemaker's book. These are really beautiful, like from the imagination. These are creative, but they're also showing skill. Let's see. Yeah, and I think there's a few like making of books, like I think Pixar might have some, like the making of Ratatouille or The Incredibles. There might be some making of books where you can see, you know, and get inspired. For this portfolio review and for the program here, we encourage you to use your imagination, be creative, use your imagination, your own characters. But it's good to see like all this great work and aim high. Try to do really accurate and, you know, show skills. And I don't know, I'm kind of rambling, but I just like to encourage you guys to aim really high. So not to intimidate you, because you got to start somewhere, but be prepared to work hard if you're going to work in animation. And it should be fun. You should love it.
Okay, all right. There was a question about alumni. I think, Alexis, can you talk a little bit about the students that have been accepted to the BFA, graduated, and what they have gone on to achieve? Gail, do you want to talk about some of them, or should I?
Yeah, I mean, we've got a long list. I mean, our concentration is 2 years old. Is that right? I think we're officially about 2 years old. So compared to EAA, which is about 25 years old. So there's a big difference in terms of the depth of alumni. But in the last year, we have had, last 2 years, we've had students graduate from our concentration, and we had 4 go to Blizzard, 2 as, I think they are associate producers. So they're working more on the producing side in the cinematics department. Couple have gone in as riggers. We had one, Corey Carrillo, who was a brilliant painter. Like he could do really beautiful painting and also modeling. And he had one career goal, and that was to be an environment artist on the World of Warcraft at Blizzard, and which is a very narrow focus. But it took him another, I think, 2 years after graduation he kept working on his skills, and he is now an environment artist on World of Warcraft. We've got students that are, I think, still here, or while they were here, they were already interning at Obsidian. And they are now employed at Obsidian. So they've transitioned from being an intern to being employed just as they were walking out the door here last semester. Where else? We've got lots of students around. We've got them at, we've got a character animator at Pixar. We've got a few animation folks at Disney, DreamWorks. Andy, you've got some students that graduated doing VR, and they're doing VR at like Nickelodeon. Is that right?
Yeah. And then also with EAA, there's people at Nickelodeon, Disney, TV. There's students all over, Stupid Buddy, Titmouse.
Yeah, Shimmer
so it's
by one of our students who graduated from here. So she created that show on Nickelodeon. So it's pretty far and wide, and we unexpectedly run into them sometimes at like Lightbox. We ran into someone there who was working at Sony. So they're far and wide, I think. Oh.
And it's come up several times now about one-on-one portfolio meets. I don't believe we do that, but the clubs do have unofficial reviews, correct?
Yeah, I think you can go to PMC and WIA, and I'll probably encourage like Ramon to do something where you guys have a day where the students who've been accepted bring their portfolio work in and talk about it and show more in depth what they put in, so you see a bigger variety. You know, and you can always ask questions out there, and I see students are actually posting their work out there and getting feedback from other students who are already in the concentrations. So I think that's a really helpful place to go.
To reiterate that, put your work out there and put it out early and get used to getting feedback.
Yeah.
This is the route you want to go. You will be having that for the rest of your lives.
Does GPA affect the acceptance to the portfolio? As in, like, if you have a higher GPA, is more likely at something like that, or mostly just based on performance and skill. So I would say, you know, as long as you have the GPA above the required level, I think that's the most important thing. And then we're looking mostly at the work.
We have something for an original character that's inspired by an existing character. I guess that would be how far it veers away from the existing character. Like if you just created Superman and put a different initial on the chest, then I would say that's probably not far enough away. Anyone?
That's about right.
Fan art of a live action character.
I mean, personally, like I want to see like your own ideas. So the more it's derivative of something, that I find it, you know, like it's not as interesting. And that's kind of my personal preference. I don't know if everybody else feels that way.
Yeah, I think original is ideal, but if you are inspired by, you know, maybe this character and this character are kind of a mix of, you know, those are, you know, you're getting ideas. So it's always fun to try to explore things and see how far you can go with it and how much you can make it your own, I think.
Just like Katarina, quick off topic, is there paperwork or anything we need to add to our portfolio? And do we need a signature from the advisor department heads? Or do we just send in our portfolio? So it's all handled through the scholarship system that you apply through. So you don't need to get any signatures. You just do it through that system, which is on your portal.
Yeah, you guys can always come out here to make sure I'm on here. The areas of study and kind of see, we're posting alumni. We need to kind of update our thing here. But you could also like click on our links. It takes us to our faculty pages if you want to see our work that we do. I do virtual production. So it's kind of, you know, I saw a little comment on there about, you know, that we're passionate about this. We definitely are. You know, for me, I guess I like doing my own work, but a lot of my passion is really centered around teaching and seeing you guys go out there, and, you know, you're the next generation of animators and game developers, you know, that are gonna, you know, change the industry. So, and be a part of it. So yeah, check out what we do, and you know, come out here and check out the concentrations. I wanted to show this one here. So there was a student that had a film that was in. Kathy, do you want to talk about the festival he was in?
Sure. Yeah, and it was a very original idea. The film was called Fester, and what happened was last fall, someone reached out to me asking if there were student films from Fullerton to go into this really prestigious festival. It's called the Animation is Film Festival. It's connected to a major festival in France called Annecy. So I knew it was a really important festival. I thought, oh my gosh, if we can get CSUF student films in there, that would be great. And it was in Hollywood, on Hollywood Boulevard at, I think it's called the TCL Chinese. I know it is the Groman's Chinese, the one where all the handprints are in the concrete. So it was on a weekend. It was like a Saturday night, this big festival. They wanted to show student films, and there was a student who had just completed this really terrific film that I think Carol is sharing the screen. It was called Fester, and it was her own creative idea. There was no dialogue. It was all visual, and they liked it. It got into the festival, and so we want to do more of that. I want to encourage you guys to create really great work, your original ideas, and that helped to, Fullerton is on the map. Let's get even bigger on the map.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
There's alumni too. There's links out to these people. Mike Daly, story artist at Pixar. He also did a storyboard workshop here for 2 days that our students did. It was amazing. So it was Pixar training you guys how Pixar does their storyboarding. And we're going to try to get those opportunities happening again. But yeah, we've got just tons of alumni, and you can, check out the links here and see what they're up to and reach out to them.
It's great.
All right.
Yeah, we have Sony coming in a couple of weeks, right?
Yes.
Yeah, February 24th, I believe, Friday evening, and
Uh-huh.
the Cal State Fullerton Women in Animation Club and the Pencil Mileage Club are involved in making that happen. So if you're in those clubs, you'll probably hear about it. And yeah, some of the books, like I'll recommend certain books. Sometimes they're really expensive. So I have a lot of books in my office. So if you guys are interested, like this Paper Dreams book, I don't know if I'd spend the money on it because it's probably a very expensive book, but you guys can feel free to, reach out to me, or sometimes you could just Google search and find some really great concept art that people have done, and it just keeps inspiring you. Or like Carol said, look at work of people at CSUF. It's very exciting. There's a lot of talent. I see a lot of talent here.
Mm-hmm. Any more?
How to
So a
join.
question about time limit for the oh, never mind. That's the type of art styles for creative work. And then I also saw another one about a time limit, I think.
For like animation?
This one is, oh, where'd it go? Now it moved again. Is there a limited type of art styles for creative work? Search online that anime style isn't recommended to put in a portfolio. What type of art style would you recommend not to put in? I think that's probably more for EAA.
Yeah, so, okay. Style not to put in. Your style is what I think we want to see. Like, what is your personal, what are your ideas? If you're inspired by anime and you do great work, I'd say put it in. We want to see original imagination, not cookie cutter copies, if you know what I mean. So whatever you're doing, make it your own. So, and if you're showing variety, that's great too. Some people might be like, oh, I want to, you're an artist, and in your artistic career, you might try different things like, oh, I want to try to do something more with more like Looney Tunes or something. Or you might be, I really want to try this different style, or, you can play around with different styles, but make it your own. For while you're a student, you have these opportunities, and explore your own creative ideas. And you could put in multiple different styles that are as much your original imaginative works as possible. There was another question, how to join the clubs. Okay, so it looks like there's links to the clubs there. That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, I just put the links in there. You can also, on Discord, PMC, they're really nice. And then a lot of people post events that's going on. And I think everybody should look into that. We're also we have SIGGRAPH and the video game design club for the 3D students are both really great clubs too.
Yeah, they're actually teaming up this semester to start building a game. I don't know if they're going to do it over a semester long or a 2-semester long, but they're just doing that. Caroline, is it cool if I share the Sony banner in the chat?
Sure, go for it.
There was a question about art statement for EAA. I don't think so. I don't think so.
No, it's only for computer animation and game art. And then the recording is going to be shared on, it's like the same link where the PDF that I shared earlier. It'll be on there. They'll just update the PDF to have the link to the video too.
Time limit for clips for animation?
I think put your best work, right? And
Yeah.
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 Short and sweet.
Recruiters will tell you you've got 5 seconds to get their attention. We'll probably look at it longer than that, but don't drag out like several minutes of stuff. Try to edit it down so it's maybe 30 seconds. Does that sound about right, everyone?
Mm-hmm. Best work. If you have something that's really great, like a 1-minute film for EAA, that would be okay. If it's something really great, but as Professor Carol Ashley mentioned, recruiters they just want to see your best stuff. And we're trying to get you guys prepared. So if you have, we don't want to see quantity, we want to see quality. So just to be clear, sometimes students think, oh, more, I'll just put in lots of figure drawings, I'll put in lots of this. That's not the idea here. It's not about more, it's about the best. Put just your best as much as possible.
How recent the work, or do you want the work to be? Like, would something from 2018 be okay?
Depends if it's good. Yeah, I think the older the work, or if it's from high school, you probably don't want to include that. And we can also see the difference between work that's been done here in the 100 level classes, or like 117, if you took it here with our professors versus outside of here. We can often see the difference. Don't freak out if you haven't taken all the classes here, but just try to stay away from like older work or work that you might be emotionally attached to from high school. Like, it's better to just include as much work from Cal State Fullerton as you can, or current work.
And have it be original. Don't be something where you follow the tutorial or something.
All right. Is that it? I think we've answered just about everything here.
Yeah, and I think the recording, for those who may have come in late or didn't hear everything, it'll be it's recorded, right? So this discussion will be posted and you could get answers. We went over pretty thoroughly what we're looking for. And I think in the statements too, right? Right, Carol?
Yeah, this artist statement, it's just basically your interest, what you want to do in computer animation and game art, or game art, animation, immersive media in 600 words. So kind of like where you're coming from. Yeah, you can use material from a community college. That's fine. And
No,
then,
don't do side-by-side work, just put the better one.
Yeah. And then this recording will be uploaded to the, like I said earlier, to the portfolio PDF link on the website. So if you just go to the same one, and when you go on the website, the Dakota website that I linked to earlier, it'll be updated there. And plenty of people, yeah, pull work from their classes. That's generally what we see.
Should you retake a class to get better work? I would say you could probably just do better work on your own time. If you've already passed the class, there's no reason to retake it.
Yeah, don't retake classes, progress forward. Yeah. take the next class.
And take what you learned and keep practicing it. Like if you've done like figure drawing, there's probably somewhere like some non-instructed figure drawing workshops or, you know.
He does that. They do costume drawing.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Put digital work and traditional work. Yeah, put digital and traditional. Depending on the concentration, you probably want to have more digital than traditional. Some people are asking for more examples of portfolios.
I would say go out to PMC Discord and go to the channel there that's about portfolio reviews and just share your work there, and then see what everybody else is posting too. And we'll check in with PMC and WIA and CGRAPH and see if they're going to get together again this semester. They did it last semester where they did a talk over in the TSU. They brought examples of portfolios, I think digital, and projected them and did a lot of Q&A and discussion about it.
that would be great. Yeah.
What is this one? For creative expression, should we share characters from the same series? Or should it be characters from a bunch of different series? I think as long as it's good, it doesn't matter if it's all from the same series or from a different series. Kathy?
Yeah, as long as if it's your own, like your own series ideas, you might have your own series ideas, you might have more than one, that's fine. You can show more than one. As long as it's good. Again, everything's oftentimes portfolio reviewers will look at your work, and if they see something that's not as good as other work, then it will lower your portfolio ranking. So that's another challenge. It's not, it's knowing, being able to judge. You need to be able to judge what is your strongest work. So if anything's questionable, like not quite your strongest work, I wouldn't put it in.
Yeah, and if you need help judging, again, I think going out on Discord to PMC is probably one of the best places to go right now to get feedback from the seniors who are willing to give you feedback and share their experience of what they used in their portfolios to get in.
And then Gabby had if we need counseling to figure out what classes to take to help us, or what classes we still need to take. We talk to a general college of the art counselor or specific counselor from the programs we're trying to enter. You want to take that one, Carol? I can do it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're needing advising, you can sign up with any of us for the concentrations, and we'll meet with you. You can go out onto TitanNet, or it's called Navigator, I guess, and sign up. So we've got our office hours listed out there, and I think Andy and Eric, you guys have drop-in office hours too on campus.
Not any. I do both in person and online, but they're not drop-in. You have to make an appointment.
Okay, so make appointments, and then Andy and I are doing both EAA and computer animation and game art. So try to get one sooner than later. The EAA ones are filling up really fast. Like I think I'm already out to April. I'm booked. So I think Andy is too.
And I have walk-in on Wednesdays at 7 to 8. And then virtual through TitanNet.
Yeah, I have walk-ins on Thursdays from 8 to 9 in Mod 106, and then I have Tuesday afternoons on TitanNet virtual. So, but yeah, I think they're filling up. But
Yeah, I'm Thursday morning 9:15 to 11:15 for computer animation game art. I've got a lot of openings there, and then I've got a 1-hour slot on Friday morning 9:15 to 10:15 for EAA, and that's the one that I'm booked all the way out to April on. So try to get in sooner than later.
Emily, no, you don't need to include what program was used for digital work. Oh, I just saw that.
So if you're past the 96 unit count and you don't have enough required work for your portfolio, you want to take that one, Andy?
So, okay, so you have 96 units, but you don't have the work required. I would set up an appointment. Well, I would email me or one of us, and then let us know what your situation is, kind of like more in detail, kind of like why, and you're probably a transfer, and then we can work through it, figure it out. You know, so I think I would just reach out to us.
Kathy, for EAA, can it be all digital work or does it need to have traditional?
I think it can be all digital as long as it's really good.
Yeah, in EAA, what should you do if storyboarding is your main focus?
You could put storyboards in the creative expression section, but also put other work like the expression sheets, because within storyboarding, there is a lot of like you could do some compositional images that show composition and images that show character acting. So you could put in storyboards, but also other materials.
Yeah, I think if it shows a sense of like staging and composition of where the character is, and all of you should be learning about like the language of film and like what is the close-up shot and what is the establishing shot or wide shot. You know, you watch that every day, but like start paying attention to like why does the camera push in close for certain scenes of dialogue, and then it's a wide shot for others. And Kathy's showing some great examples here. Yeah.
This is from the Ed Gertner book
Yeah.
that I
Composition.
looked at earlier.
And storyboards don't have to be real detailed. They can just be line art, and you know, you can gray out the background and you know, keep the character white if you want to silhouette it like that. And it could be something really simple like a sequential a series of sequential panels showing some type of action or storytelling is really good.
And Daniel, you want to, so Daniel's asking, can we put the animatic video or of our storyboards, or do you want a PDF? So you could do in the PDF, you could have your storyboards. And then if you have an animatic that you want to share, have a link to it to YouTube or to Vimeo.
Yeah.
And then Michelle, yeah, don't put it in we don't need a gigabyte.
Don't embed it. So.
And then if Michelle, there's some of these questions we covered earlier. So, but Michelle, basically, you need to have all those classes done that are required, and with a grade before you apply. So you would need to wait till next semester if you don't have them done yet.
Yeah, and if you accidentally apply and you haven't completed a class, like you're still taking 117 and you didn't hear this information, we're not going to count that as your first try. We're going to just kind of waive it and say that, you know, they shouldn't have applied yet. So don't panic that was a count, first count.
Okay, all right. I feel like our faculty, wonderful faculty, are exhausted now.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how much I appreciate you all, your interest in the program, and I know for a fact that all the other faculty are really love to teach here, and they're excited to work with you. And you know, so we're really excited to see your work and your application. Is there anything else we need to say, y'all, before we wrap up?
No, we're just looking forward to seeing your portfolios, and good luck. And you know, just remember to edit, get feedback from other students that are already in the program, and you know, put your best work in there.
And think of it also, this is all learning opportunities. You guys do your best. Portfolio is something you do like your whole life as an artist. This is, you know, you guys are students now, you're getting started, but you're going to be doing portfolios and as you improve throughout your lives as artists, you're going to constantly be updating and changing portfolios. So think of it like this is a great learning opportunity too.
Same thing. Yeah, just thank you for everyone. And we're looking forward to seeing what y'all put forward.
All right.
All right, I'll see you later.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and end this. So we'll see you guys later.
Hey, everyone. Thank you.
Everyone.